What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Sports Prodigies podcast with your hosts, I'm Aiden.
And I'm Jeremy.
And today we are honored to bring on former NFL tight end and co-host of the White Tiger podcast, Asante Cleveland. Say what's up.
What's up, guys? I'm happy to be on.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. What you been up to?
Not much, man. Just enjoying this new quarantine lifestyle. It's been real convenient for podcasts.
Yeah, most definitely. And I feel like we kind of started at the beginning of, and I feel like we've been pretty well. Obviously, with the White Tiger podcast, like I said, you guys are doing great, and definitely shout that out. I would recommend all of our viewers to go check that out with Asante.
Appreciate it.
But before we get into this podcast, we just wanted to talk about our sponsor. Once again, today's video is sponsored by Manscaped. And for my personal, I believe that it's the best products that you could get for shaving. I think that from personal experience, I've never caught myself using it. It's very high end. I recommend for all, especially males and females listening out there. I would get it for your males because I'm telling you, it's one of the best. Jeremy, what do you have to say?
Yeah, Manscaped's the best. All their products are top of the line, top notch. If I had to recommend one product, it'd be the lawnmower. It really does a great job. It's the best electric razor I've ever had, and it really lives up to its name as a lawnmower.
Yeah, that's right. And to get your own Manscaped products, use our code capital SP2020 to get 20% off and free shipping. And I'm telling you, it's a great deal, and I would recommend for everybody. So use our code. It helps you guys out. It helps us out. So it's an amazing code, capital SP2020 to get 20% off and free shipping. So let's get into the questions. So Asante, like I said earlier, you were a former NFL tight end. Can you go over what it was like to play in the NFL?
It was very exciting. It really put you to the test in terms of focus and discipline. Football had been fun going up through college, and the goal was always to make it to the NFL. And once I was finally there, you realize how this is 100% a job. And the more you treated it like a job, the better you would do. So it really made you focus all your time on being the best you could be at football.
Yeah, and was there like a specific moment that stuck out in your career, either in college, the NFL, or high school?
I made it moment was when I got my first start with the Patriots. So I started that year off on the practice squad. I actually got traded from San Francisco during the preseason. So when I got to New England, I was still kind of figuring the ropes. It was my second year in the league. I started off on practice squad. I was doing really well, grinding away. And then late in the year, I got activated, got my first catch against the Broncos. And then the next game, we were playing the Texans, and I got my first start. So that moment of coming out onto the field with the starters in the huddle with Tom Brady, Gronk, and it was just realizing like, wow, I'm here. So that was definitely the coolest moment of my career.
Yeah, and that's probably an amazing moment, a moment you'll never forget in your entire life. And it's just crazy that like you get to say that you made it that far, and it's a huge accomplishment overall. But speaking about Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski, so you've been on a couple of teams when you were in the NFL. Like you said, you started with the 49ers, then you went to the Patriots, and I think you ended up with the Chargers.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could say this, but do you have like a favorite teammate or like somebody that you still speak with in the NFL that you're good friends with? Like, who would you say, if you took away from all the years that you were in the NFL, who could you say was like the best teammate that you had?
It's kind of a loaded question. Every year brought like a new challenge, and I had like a new friend group around me. My rookie year in the NFL with the 49ers, my best like friends were everybody within the tight end room, because they were really my mentors coming into the league. I didn't really know anything, so I had their guidance and leadership to lean on and learn from. So guys like Vernon Davis, who I'm still close with today, Vance McDonald, Garrett Selleck, Derek Carrier, Kevin Green, And then when I went to New England, while I spent the most of the year on practice squad, like one of my best friends was Darius Fleming, mainly because he was on practice squad too, and we were kind of just out there. So we didn't travel to the games. So after our Saturday practice, it was the weekend for us. So we were out hanging out in Boston. So me and him had a great time, and then in San Diego, I was really close to the tight ends as well, like Hunter Henry, Jake McGee, Sean McGrath, Antonio Gates. So mainly the tight ends.
Yeah. And like going back to earlier, like really early in your life, when did you actually like start playing football?
I didn't start playing until my freshman year in high school. Growing up, I played soccer. That was my first sport. My dad actually played in the NFL and never pushed me to play football. Kind of didn't let me play football early on. So it wasn't until my freshman year in high school when the coach just came up to me during our orientation and asked if I wanted to come out to the training camp. I started out as a wide receiver, and then midway into camp, they moved me over to tight end. I think it was because I wasn't as fast as I thought I was going to be, but it was the right move for me, and I fell in love with the sport, and I started watching football more, watching people like Antonio Gates growing up. So that's what I really wanted to model myself after.
Yeah, and like you said, your friend, you were friends with him in San Diego, so that's probably kind of crazy that somebody that you watched, then you finally became friends with the NFL. So that's just kind of crazy, full circle type of thing.
Oh,
But
yeah, definitely.
like you said, I'm also a big soccer kid, but I'm also not big enough to be on a football field. So yeah, I play soccer my whole life. I'm going to Syracuse next year, so I may play up there, but nothing serious. But talking about your time in Miami, so I think you played at Miami for 3 or 4 seasons. So
4, yeah.
4, yeah. So what was it like playing at Miami and being down there?
Miami was a huge culture shock for me initially because I'm from Sacramento, California, and I was probably one of the biggest kids in the area. There were only like 3 high-level recruits at that time. It was me, Terrence Mitchell, who's still playing, and then we had this kid, Eddie Planteric, who went to Stanford. And so going down to Miami, where football in Florida is completely different, and just being around everybody who's a lot bigger than me or as big as me, faster than me, stronger than me, it was real humbling. But the culture of the school, the mentality, the swag of the U, I was at home. I loved it.
Yeah, and since you're from Sacramento, was it kind of like a hard transition being like on the East Coast, all the way on the East Coast from the West Coast, or was it not that hard for you?
Initially, it wasn't that hard. I chose to go to Miami because I wanted to kind of get away and be independent. So that first year football season, it's so jam-packed, you don't even really have time to be homesick because you're so focused on the season. But it didn't really hit me that first year until going into spring, where I was kind of missing being at home. But eventually you kind of grow into it and it just becomes life.
Yeah, so speaking that you went from California to Miami and moving around a lot. So like I said in the beginning of the podcast, your NFL career, you're definitely moving around a lot, pretty much all over the country. But was it troubling moving from like state to state and moving from team to team? Like, I feel like that would be hard. So can you take us through like that process and like what your mindset was when you got moved to a next team?
Yeah. I really learned how to deal with sudden transition. So even going into the NFL, signed by the 49ers out of college, I had just graduated the day before, and I had to pack up my apartment and fly out to San Francisco the next day. So I was kind of scrambling with that. I had to delegate some responsibilities to some friends to help me out when I was gone. And then, I got traded when I was in San Francisco. We had just played a preseason game the night before, and it was Monday morning. I'm heading into the facility, and before I'm leaving the hotel, someone from the front office knocks on my hotel door telling me to go. The GM wants to talk to me. I just got traded. They didn't tell me anything past that. I didn't know where I was going. So this is at 7 a.m. I go to the GM. They tell me I get traded to the Patriots. And by 12 o'clock, I'm on a flight to West Virginia because the Patriots are having a joint practice with the Saints. So I have to fly from SFO to DC, from DC to Virginia. And when I get to Virginia, they have a driver waiting for me to drive me to West Virginia. And I get in at 2 a.m. and I have practice I have to be up at 7 for meetings and practice at 9 for a team I don't know anything about. So that's like a little glimpse into how quickly things move around in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, 3 hours later, you're on the plane to the next team. So a little bit off of football, can you just like take us and talk to us a little bit about your podcast and like what you guys talk about?
Yeah, so it was originally started by my friend and co-host Craig Castelletto. I was originally just a guest on. I was telling him about like kind of my football journey, and the premise of it is it's called the White Tiger Podcast. There was this entrepreneur who came from India, and he brought over this white tiger to the States, and no one had ever seen a white tiger, so it was this huge, extremely popular exhibit. And they kept this tiger in this 12 by 12 cage. And so it became so popular that they ended up expanding the enclosure to be more reminiscent of the tiger's natural habitat. But what they noticed was that the white tiger never really left that 12 by 12 footprint that it was used to, even though it had so much more space to move around. So we talk about some of the invisible cages that we may put ourselves in, limiting beliefs and all that stuff, and how we can like escape the quote unquote cage. So we talk to a lot of entrepreneurs and athletes turned entrepreneurs because we know that they understand what it takes, the grind of dealing with a whole bunch of rejections and having to believe in yourself to be successful.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And I was listening to, I think, your last podcast. It was pretty good, and I recommend for everybody that's listening now to go listen to it. Definitely a great podcast. So keep it up over there at the White Tiger Podcast, definitely. And we definitely like it over here. So
appreciate it, man. I'm glad you guys are starting this. This is great that you guys are getting into this podcast. Yeah. I'm happy to be on.
Yeah, me and Jeremy, seniors in high school right now. We're going to college next year, so we're just starting something early, trying to see what we really want to do with our lives. We want to be working in sports, but we're seeing maybe this can work out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're just trying to expand and see what fits for us, and we don't know. Maybe this could take us a long way, and we're excited for that. But thank you so much for saying that.
Oh yeah, dude. Just enjoy the process of it. Don't go into it with the end. Like, have an idea of where you want to go, but man, enjoy the process of it.
Thank you so much. So, one of the last questions that I want to ask you is, so you were undrafted, you were signed by the 49ers. So for somebody that doesn't get drafted, say in next year's draft or even this year's draft, what is something that you could tell them like as a mindset to keep in mind, knowing that like it's not over, because it wasn't over for you?
No, yeah, it's great that a lot of people get drafted. It's great if you are fortunate enough to get drafted, but if you go undrafted, this will really test your fortitude. You have to go in there with the utmost belief in yourself. You don't have the luxury to slack off at all. You can't get complacent. I made the last preseason game my rookie year. I got a touchdown against the Texans, and they're telling me they're going to sign me to the practice squad, which was kind of expected. And I signed to the practice squad, and then 20 minutes later, they called me and cut me from the practice squad. And that was extremely humbling, and also seeing how fast things could change around. But also, and then like an hour later, my agent called me and said that they were going to sign me back. So it was all good. But it really primed me to know that I have no leash. I have no, I have to give it my best all the time. And that's what I would tell anybody who is going undrafted, drafted. You have to give it your best all the time, because you don't know how quickly things can change. You don't know if the one play that you decide to kind of slack off, if that's the play that derails your career. So stay focused, stay committed, and give it your best all the time.
Yeah, and the last question that I wanted to ask you is, what is like one thing you want people to know about you that they might not know already?
That's a good question. Well, I would want people to know that I believe in them. And I want them to know that they can accomplish anything they want to, because I accomplished things that I wanted to. Even when things seemed very, it didn't seem like things were going to work out. I made it to the NFL, and I only had 14 catches in college. I had 3 catches my senior year, and still I was able to find a way to make it to the NFL. So if you truly believe in your goal, your destiny, and you're committed to doing whatever it takes to get there, you'll be successful. And that's what I want everyone to know about me and about themselves.
Yeah, those are amazing words. And it's not even through sports, it's just through life. Just like keep working for what you get to. So I 100% agree with that.
Yeah. I agree with that a ton too. I'm actually going to take that. I'm trying to walk on the baseball team at the school I'm going to. So,
dude, attaboy. Where are you going?
Towson University. It's in Maryland.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's going to wrap it up for today. Asante, we want to thank you for coming on. It means a lot, and you're welcome anytime, obviously. Just keep working. Your podcast is doing amazing right now. And everybody listening, also go tune into that. It's an amazing podcast I recommend for all. If you're on YouTube, go subscribe and also like this video. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, go follow for more episodes to come. Signing off with your hosts, I'm Aiden.
And I'm Jeremy.
And everybody have a great day. Thank you.
Peace.
Peace.